Welcome back, deep divers. Today we're tackling something we all deal with, no matter who you are, and that's time.
Oh yeah, time, the big one.
But we're looking at it through the lens of Buddhist philosophy. We've got some fascinating excerpts from a piece called Okunwisik. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that.
I know, it's a mouthful.
But the ideas in it. Prepare to rethink those deadlines and to-do lists,
I'm intrigued.
because we're going to uncover how mindfulness can revolutionize how we experience time.
It's funny, we always think of time as this rigid, set thing that just marches on.
Right, like it's this external force controlling us.
Yeah. But in Buddhist philosophy, it's considered an illusion.
Okay, hold on. An illusion.
Yeah.
I mean, deadlines feel pretty real to me. How can time not be real when it runs our entire lives?
Well, think about it. The past is just memories, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And the future, just projections, hopes, fears. The only time that truly exists is right now, this present moment.
So it's more about our perception of time rather than time itself.
Exactly. Buddhism emphasizes being fully present in the now, instead of getting caught up in what was or worrying about what might be.
That makes sense. It does feel a bit tricky to wrap your head around that.
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole shift in perspective, and that's where this idea of anicca comes in. That's impermanence.
Anicca, okay.
It's a core Buddhist concept.
Yeah.
Everything's constantly changing, including our perception of time.
So if everything's always changing, does that mean we shouldn't even bother with things like deadlines or planning?
No, not at all. It's not about ignoring deadlines. It's about how we approach them. Understanding impermanence actually helps us detach from the outcome a little bit.
Detach from the outcome.
Yeah. Which can make us way more effective in the long run. Less pressure, more getting things done.
Less pressure, more effective. I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
But okay, practically speaking, how do our trusty clocks and calendars fit into all of this?
Clocks. They become powerful tools in this framework. Instead of seeing them as restrictions, Buddhism sees them as reminders of impermanence.
Oh, interesting.
Each tick is a nudge, saying, hey, cherish this present moment. It's fleeting.
So it's kind of like they're saying, hey, time's literally ticking away, so make the most of it.
Exactly.
Instead of letting clocks stress us out, we can use them as a way to stay present and intentional.
You got it. And this all ties into one of the most well-known Buddhist principles, mindfulness.
Mindfulness, we hear this word everywhere.
It's everywhere for a reason. It really is about being aware of how we're spending each moment, not just letting time slip by unnoticed.
Okay, mindfulness, I get the concept in theory, but the how-to is where I get stuck. It feels like we're supposed to be mindful 24/7, which seems, I don't know, impossible.
Yeah, no, that's a really common misconception. Mindfulness isn't about being perfect. It's about building that awareness muscle. Even tiny practices can help, like taking a few conscious breaths before jumping into a task.
Starting small, building the habit. I can get behind that.
It's all about small steps.
But what about those times when you're totally overwhelmed? Like you just feel there's not enough time, you're panicked. How does mindfulness help with that feeling?
Yeah, that panicked feeling. That's where Buddhist teachings about suffering, dukkha, come in. A lot of our suffering comes from clinging to how we think things should be.
Okay, so we're resisting what's actually happening.
Exactly. And when we resist the natural flow of time, that's when we feel that time crunch even more.
So instead of fighting time, we should try to flow with it.
That's the idea. But how do we actually do that?
Right, because deadlines and responsibilities feel so fixed.
Exactly. And it's about finding that balance. Buddhism isn't about being passive. It's about mindful action, putting effort into what we can control and letting go of what we can't.
So being strategic, but also flexible.
You got it. It is a bit of a balancing act.
Yeah, like walking a tightrope sometimes.
Well, that's where specific techniques can be super helpful. Have you heard of the rule of 3 priorities?
Okay, the rule of 3 priorities. I haven't. Tell me more. Does this have Buddhist roots?
Deep roots. It aligns so well with the Buddhist idea of right effort that's part of the Eightfold Path.
Yeah.
It's about choosing actions that make your life, more meaningful, more fulfilling.
Okay, so it's not just a productivity hack. It's about making choices that actually matter.
Yeah. So with this rule of 3 each day, you pick the 3 most important tasks for you, the ones you really want to get done.
I see. So you're not ignoring everything else. It's about acknowledging you've only got so much time and energy.
Right. You have to prioritize. And when you focus on those top 3, you feel a sense of accomplishment. You're moving towards what matters most.
I like that. It's like we're consciously deciding how to spend our time instead of just reacting to whatever comes up.
That's the key, taking control.
This is all making so much sense. But I'll be honest, I really struggle with rest. I always feel like I should be doing something productive. What's the Buddhist perspective on that?
Well, there's this amazing analogy in the text we're looking at. Imagine a bow, like for archery, that's always strung tight.
Okay, yeah.
Eventually, it loses its tension, it even breaks.
Wow, that's a powerful image.
Right, and that's exactly what can happen to us if we never rest.
Yeah, I could feel the tension just thinking about it.
It illustrates this key Buddhist idea: balance, the middle path. We need both effort and rest. If we're always pushing, never taking a break, we're headed straight for burnout, just like that overstretched bow.
So rest isn't being lazy, it's actually essential for being productive.
Exactly, you need both.
I love that. Okay, practical tips time. How do we incorporate rest into a mindful approach to time? I mean, beyond just sleep.
The text actually suggests scheduling short, mindful breaks throughout the day, like every 90 minutes or so. Just step away from what you're doing for a few minutes, just reset.
We're not talking about taking naps, just brief pauses.
Exactly.
But it's about being intentional with those pauses,
Right.
Not just like mindlessly scrolling through our phones.
That's it. It could be a few minutes of meditation, some deep breaths, even just stepping outside to get some fresh air.
Just shifting gears a bit.
Yeah, getting out of that constant doing mode.
I'm realizing how much of this comes down to awareness. Recognizing when we're pushing too hard, when we need to take a break, when we're getting sucked into distractions.
You're so right. And that's where the Buddhist teachings on non-attachment can be incredibly useful. It's about, loosening our grip on expectations, on our schedules.
Okay, non-attachment. When it comes to time management, that's a new one for me. I usually think of that with like material possessions.
Right. But it applies here too. Think about how often we get stressed when things don't go according to plan. Non-attachment helps us be more open to those twists and turns. We can adapt more easily.
So we're not just throwing our hands up and giving up on our goals. It's about finding that middle ground. Intentionality, but also acceptance.
You got it. A balance.
That makes a lot of sense. But how do we actually cultivate non-attachment? It seems tough.
It starts by recognizing that our sense of control over time, it's often an illusion. Things happen, plans change, and that's okay.
So working with time, not against it.
Yeah, that's the key. We can set goals, we can make plans, but holding them lightly, being willing to adjust when we need to.
That's a really different way of looking at it. This reminds me of something we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Time being a precious resource.
You're making the connection. It's not about saving time or even making time, but really valuing the time we have, spending it in ways that align with our values,
It's quality over quantity, isn't it?
Exactly.
Not just filling our days with busyness, but being intentional with how we spend each moment.
That's it.
Speaking of quality, what about all those things that just steal our time? Distractions, commitments we're not that excited about. How does Buddhism address those?
That's where letting go comes in. It's
Really?
about identifying and releasing things that no longer serve us.
Okay.
It could be limiting social media use, decluttering your space, even just saying no to things that drain your energy.
It's like simplifying, making space for what truly matters.
Exactly. You reclaim your time and energy so you can focus on what brings you joy, what brings you fulfillment.
That could be spending time with loved ones, pursuing hobbies, even just being present in those quiet moments.
It all counts.
It's funny, we often feel pressure to be productive every second of the day. What's the Buddhist view on that always-on mentality?
Well, it actually ties back into non-attachment. We feel guilty about rest because we're so attached to this idea of being productive. But true rest means letting go of that striving, allowing ourselves just to be.
Just to be. That sounds so peaceful.
It is, and it connects to this Buddhist understanding of happiness. True happiness isn't about achievements or possessions, it's about inner peace and contentment.
So it's not about checking things off a to-do list, it's about finding joy in the process.
Exactly, and that includes the moments of rest, the quiet moments, the moments when we just allow ourselves to be.
I love that. It's all starting to come together, shifting our perspective on time, letting go of control, finding that balance between action and rest. But how do we actually make that shift? It feels overwhelming.
It is a journey. But this text we've been looking at offers a simple practice: reflection. At the end of each day, just take a few minutes to think about your day.
Okay.
What were the good parts? What are you grateful for? Where could you have been more present?
It's like taking stock of our time.
Exactly.
noticing where we're spending it, how it's making us feel. This reminds me of gratitude practice, which I know has been so helpful for me.
You're right, there's definitely a connection. And gratitude is so important in Buddhism. By appreciating the time we have, we shift our focus from what we lack to what we already have.
I'm realizing how much of our relationship with time is just our mindset. If we're always rushing, always stressed, we'll never feel like we have enough time. But if we approach it with mindfulness, with gratitude, then we can feel abundance even in a busy life.
Beautifully said. It reminds me of something Buddha himself taught. True wealth lies not in having more time, but in understanding it.
That's a powerful thought. It's not about cramming more into our days, but changing how we think about time, how we relate to it.
Exactly. And that can change everything.
It really can. So, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into Buddhist philosophy and time,
Yeah.
what's one key thing you hope our listeners take away from all this?
I think it comes down to this. Time isn't something to be conquered. It's something to be understood, something to be appreciated.
I like that.
Cultivating that mindfulness, letting go of what we don't need, focusing on what truly matters, that's how we transform our relationship with time. And I think that unlocks, a deeper sense of peace, of purpose.
That's such a great message. Yeah, especially in today's world, everything feels so fast-paced. So, to our listeners, I hope you'll really take these ideas and experiment.
Yeah, try them out.
Even small changes can make a big difference in your life and how you feel about time.
Absolutely. And remember, each moment is a gift. It's an opportunity to create something meaningful, to connect with people, or just to really experience life to the fullest.
Doesn't mean we have to be on all the time, striving for productivity every second.
No, not at all.
It's about finding that balance, that middle path where we can live fully without burning ourselves out.
Exactly. It's the ebb and flow,
Embracing that
the natural rhythm of life, of action and rest.
and letting go of that need to control everything.
Yeah,
Because sometimes things just don't go according to plan, and that's okay.
it is. It really is okay.
That's a powerful message, especially when the world feels so chaotic, so unpredictable. It's about finding that inner peace, that sense of calm amidst all the craziness.
That's what allows us to face life's challenges, with more grace, with more resilience.
And it all starts with that shift in perspective, seeing time not as the enemy, but
Yeah.
as a valuable part of our journey.
A companion almost.
As we learn to appreciate how precious time is, I think we start to live more fully, more intentionally, and more gratefully. To wrap up our deep dive into Buddhist philosophy and the nature of time, I want to leave you with this. The Buddha himself said, "True wealth lies not in having more time, but in understanding it."
And that understanding, that wisdom, is something we can all access. It's about awareness, it's about mindfulness, it's about making the choice to live each moment with intention, with gratitude.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. We hope you gained some valuable insights that will help you change how you relate to time, how you experience your life.
Until next time, may you live each moment with awareness, with joy, and with purpose.